So, yesterday I had my whole day planned. I had work I needed to finish. I was going to record this video. I had a few other things on my list, and I was feeling good. I was feeling real good. You know, those days when you wake up like, I got this. Okay, I know what I need to do today. I'm locked in. I'm focused. We're getting some stuff done. That was me. Then I realized a family member had something that was really sensitive that she needed help with. She was working. She really didn't have the time to do it, and I knew I could help. So I volunteered. She didn't ask me to do anything. She didn't ask me to drop everything to help. She didn't pressure me. Matter of fact, I offered. I love her. It needed to get done, and I knew I could help. And in my head, I thought, okay, this will take me about an hour. Listen, remember that video of the little kid? Listen, Linda, listen, listen. 4 hours later, I was still sitting at my computer. I was researching. I was reading. I was trying to figure out what mattered and what didn't because if I'm being honest, I was working in a space that I knew absolutely nothing about. There was a whole lot of me and ChatGPT going back and forth trying to figure this thing out together. By time I finished, like my brain was fried. This video did not get recorded. Some of my work had to move to the next day. And almost immediately, I started thinking about everything I hadn't gotten done. I was like, damn, Ro, now you're behind. And then I had to catch myself. Behind what? What was I behind in? I just spent 4 hours doing something that just wasn't part of the plan. I wasn't behind. My day just changed. And I think a lot of us do this. Life changes the day, but somehow we still expect ourselves to finish everything we had planned before life interrupted. Now we're frustrated with ourselves. Now we're tired. I can probably even say we're irritated. And instead of just saying, of course I'm tired, look at what today required from me, we start saying stuff like, maybe I need better time management. Maybe I need more discipline. Maybe I should have gotten up earlier. Maybe I need another planner. No, you don't. Sometimes you just had a completely different damn day than the one you planned. And that's really what I want to talk about on this show today. Because sometimes we're so busy pushing through being tired that we don't even stop to ask what the tired is trying to tell us. So during this episode, I want you to hold this one question. What signal has my body been sending that I keep explaining away? Let me repeat. What signal has my body been sending that I keep explaining away? And you don't have to try to answer it right now. Just keep it somewhere, in the back of your mind as you listen to this conversation. Because sometimes we're waiting for our bodies to do something dramatic before we pay attention. Sometimes the signal is really simple. It's I'm tired. It's I'm irritated. I can't focus. I do not want one more person asking me one more damn question. And that counts. You don't have to be falling apart for your body to be trying to tell you something. And that's part of what yesterday made me think about. Because I do not regret helping my family member. Not at all. I would do it again in a heartbeat. So this isn't a story about me needing to say no. The helping wasn't the problem. The problem was that I added 4 hours of unexpected work to my day and still expected myself to do everything else that I needed to do. That was my problem. Now, how was I going to do that? Where exactly Was I gonna just get magically 4 hours? Where was that supposed to come from? Amazon Prime? Like, seriously, what was I supposed to do? And I know I'm not the only one who does this. We can spend an entire day handling things that were never on the list. Somebody needs help. An appointment runs longer than it should have. Something happens at work. You have to research something you weren't expecting. Me yesterday. You're making calls, sending text messages, figuring out logistics, remembering something everybody else forgot. And then you get to the end of the day, look at your original list, and you say, I didn't get anything done. Ma'am, is that fair to you? Absolutely not. You did about 27 things. They just weren't the 27 things you planned. That doesn't mean you weren't productive. And a lot of that is what people call invisible work. It's all the stuff that takes real energy, but doesn't necessarily look like work. The remembering, the planning, the researching, the checking, the figuring it out, the making sure something actually gets handled. Nobody may see it. It may never be on the calendar, but your brain still did the work. Your body still used the energy. And you don't get that energy back just because it wasn't written on your to-do list. But what do we usually notice? We notice what's left. I didn't work out. And if I'm being honest, this is why I work out in the morning, because if I left it to the end of the day, it wouldn't get done. I didn't finish that email. I didn't record. I didn't prepare for, and before we know it, we're not even looking at what the day actually required from us. We're just beating ourselves up over what's left. Listen, I'm a planner. I love a good planner. Give me a fresh notebook, a pen, and some little boxes to check any day. And I am in my happy place because I got a plan. But that planner cannot manufacture more hours. Let's keep it real. Something has to move. And too often, the thing we move first, drum roll, is ourselves. Lunch can wait. The workout can wait. The thing we wanted to work on can wait. Rest can wait. The promise we made to ourselves. We'll get back to that tomorrow. And when you do that enough, you can really get good at looking fine while you are absolutely exhausted. That, my friends, that's the tricky part. Because capable women, we know how to function. We know how to function. We function when we tired. We still show up. We could be overwhelmed. We still handling business. Still handling business. 12 things going on at the same time. Somehow we make room for number 13. And then people tell us, girl, you strong. You always figure it out. I don't know how you do everything. That's what they say. And listen, I like being dependable. I really do. I like being someone that people love to count on. But being capable doesn't mean nothing affects you or impacts you. The fact that you keep moving does not mean the pace is healthy. Sometimes exhaustion does not look like some big crash. Sometimes it looks like your phone ringing and you're irritated before you even see who it is. Sometimes it could be somebody asking you something as simple as, what do you want for dinner? And you're thinking, I want everybody to stop asking me questions until tomorrow. Sometimes you walk into a room and forget why you went in there in the first place. You read the same email 3 times. You finally, like, woosah, and you sit on the couch, but your brain is still going. What did I forget? Who did I need to call? What do I have tomorrow? Your body is sitting down, but your mind is still at work. That's tired too. And because we're not having some some huge crash out or breakdown, we tell ourselves, oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I just need to get through this week. How many times have you said that? I just need to get through the week. But if you've been trying to get through this week for 6 months, girlfriend, we need to talk. And sometimes the answer really is sleep. Sometimes you need to put the phone down, stop scrolling, and take your behind to bed. I also started to think about another question, and that is, am I tired from something or am I tired of something? Listen to me again. Am I tired from something or am I tired of something? Because those are not the same. I can be tired from not sleeping enough. I can be tired from working all day, tired from running around, tired from spending 4 hours trying to figure out something I knew nothing about. That's one kind of tired. But I can also be tired of always being the one who adjusts, tired of making all the decisions, tired of being the strong one, tired of my plans always being the plans that can move, tired of saying yes before I even ask myself, do I actually have the energy for this? Do I have the energy? And those are different kinds of tired. Sleep may help with what you're tired from, but what you're tired of, that might need a conversation because maybe something needs to change. Maybe somebody else needs to take something on. Maybe you need a different schedule. Maybe you need to stop actually saying yes all the time. And yeah, sometimes you might need to just say but yesterday I wanted to say yes. And I think that's important because sometimes these conversations about boundaries start making it sound like every act of self care begins with telling somebody no. And that's not what I'm saying because it doesn't. Sometimes I want to show up for someone I love. Sometimes I'm happy to help. The lesson for me was not, well, you shouldn't have done it. The actual lesson was helping wasn't the problem. Pretending it didn't cost me anything, that was the problem. And that, my friend, that's different. I can say, I want to do this. This person matters to me. I'm choosing to help. And then 2 hours later, I can also say, okay, this is taking way longer than I expected and I'm tired. The day has changed. Something else is not happening today. It's just not going to happen. And that doesn't make the yes wrong. It just makes me honest about what the yes required. And honestly, this is part of self trust for me. You see, self trust isn't only about trusting yourself to make some big life decisions, sometimes it's much smaller. When I notice I'm tired, do I believe myself? When I notice I don't have the same energy I had this morning, do I adjust? Or do I immediately start telling myself, push through? You can handle it. Stop being lazy. Just do it later. Because later can become a dangerous, dangerous little habit. We keep promising ourselves later. I'll rest later. I'll get back to my stuff later. I'll take care of myself later. So I've been thinking about what I could do differently the next time something like this happens. Nothing dramatic, just a few little things. A few little things like first, I need to be more realistic about what something is actually costing me, not just how many hours it's going to take. Because 4 hours doing something you know how to do and 4 hours doing something completely unfamiliar, yeah, those do not feel the same. Yesterday required concentration, research was needed, decision making, patience, even patience with ChatGPT, trying to make sure I got something right that really mattered. That took a lot out of me. And at some point, I knew it. And I remember thinking, shit, this is way bigger than I thought. Way bigger than I thought. This is beyond my comprehension. That was probably the moment I needed to stop telling myself I was still going to record later. Because yes, at 9:30 at night, part of me was still kind of thinking I could probably record. I really was thinking that. And then I was like, yeah, no, Ro. No, 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 you can't. Girl, go sit your butt down. Go sit down somewhere because you're tired. And that leads me to the second thing. If something unexpected takes 4 hours, something else is probably not going to happen that day. And that's it. And I have a hard time being honest with myself. So maybe that email needs to wait. Maybe dinner is something a little more simple. Maybe, the workout gets shortened. Well, in my case, I work out in the morning, but maybe that's what you need to do. And maybe this video gets recorded tomorrow. I don't want to keep acting like I can still do everything I planned after life has already added 4 hours to the day. I'm not going to do that because that's when I end up tired, rushing, staying up too late, and wondering why I'm running on fumes. And the third thing I want to stop doing, automatically telling myself I'm behind. Maybe I'm not behind. Maybe the date just changed. Maybe something important came up. Or maybe my energy went somewhere I hadn't planned for. So instead of looking at the day and saying, I didn't do enough, I can say, what did I actually do? What did it take? What did it take out of me? And what can wait now? That feels like I'm working with myself instead of standing over myself with a clipboard giving out grades, right? And I don't need another person. I don't need another person grading me, especially when that person is me. Now, helping somebody for 4 hours one day does not mean I've abandoned myself because life happens. Plans change. People we love, they need us. But it did make me ask myself something. How often are my needs the easiest thing for me to move? How often do I say, I'll get back to me after I finish this, after I help this person, after the deadline, after everybody else is settled, after life woosahs and calms down. But when does life actually calm down? There is always something. And I don't want later to become the way I treat myself. I'll rest later. I'll make the appointment later. I'll work on my thing later. I'll come back to myself later. No, 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 no. Sometimes I'm going to put my stuff on pause for somebody I love. That's just real life. The part that I want to get better at is remembering that I pressed pause and then coming back and press and play again. And because we are talking about being tired all the time, I do want to say one thing. If you have been exhausted for a while, if it's getting worse, or if you know this level of tired is not normal for you, please don't automatically write it off as I'm busy. I'm getting older. I just need to push through. There are a lot of things that can show up as fatigue. That could be your iron levels, could be thyroid issues, sleep problems, blood sugar, certain medications, anxiety, depression. I'm not diagnosing anybody. So please, I am not doing that. I'm just saying your body deserves for you to take it seriously. Sometimes listening to yourself means just going to bed and getting the rest you need. And sometimes listening to yourself means making the appointment and saying to yourself, something feels off. Can we look into this? That that is care too. And that's care for yourself. So I want to go back to the question that I started with. I know I've said a lot, but what signal has my body been sending that I keep explaining away? Sit with that. And then ask yourself, what would care look like here? Not a complete life overhaul, Not another 20-step wellness plan, just care. Maybe something can wait. Maybe you need to ask for help. Maybe you need sleep. Maybe you need to make the appointment. Maybe you simply need to admit to yourself, today took more out of me than I expected, and I am allowed to adjust. I am allowed to adjust. All right, before we go, here is your grounding affirmation. My body is worthy of attention. I listen without judgment. I respond with care, and I give myself permission to do what I need to do. I really want to hear from you on this one. What are you tired of? Not just tired from. Put it in the comments or shoot me a message, because I have a feeling when we start reading each other's answers, a lot of us are going to say, okay, girl, me too. All right, if you like these kinds of conversations, subscribe to Hold My Purse and turn on those notifications so you don't miss the next one. I drop videos and conversations every 2 weeks. And send this to a woman in your life who keeps getting everything done, but you know she is tired as hell doing it. All right, stay aligned, stay unbothered, and hold your own damn purse. Peace.
This episode is brought to you by Self Care Shawty, your go-to for homemade skin products that keep you moisturized, healed, and at ease. Discover these amazing products today at selfcareshawty.etsy.com. That's selfcare shawty, SHAWTY.etsy.com.